Live from America's heartland, this is the Daily Truth Report with your host, Noah Christopher.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're doing an emergency broadcast right now. I'm glad you're joining us. We're live. It's June 9th, 2:30 p.m. And I have the only guy I could bring on today, POLNY. We are talking silver breakout. We're talking Bitcoin breakout. It's getting crazy out there. And so, Bo, it's so great to have you back on the show.
Thanks, Noah. Yes, we're still in spring. Are we going to have joy in spring? Chance or possibility? Let's just say things are looking really good.
Yeah, it's incredible. I was chatting with Bo a little bit on Friday, right before Bitcoin was going over $35 an ounce. And, you know, if you've been in this for a while,
Silver.
Oh, I'm sorry. Silver's going over $35 an ounce. And, you know, it's had a hard time getting over 32 for many years. And so now it's over 35. And I was talking to Bo, what do you think? And he said, ooh, if it stays over 35 heading into the weekend, you better watch out. And then now here we are, and it's just touched 37. So incredible. 40 is in the wings coming up, and then 50 is literally uncharted. I mean, Bo, silver's never traded above 50? Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly the point. So it was in, I believe, January 1980. Anyways, the end of 1979 at the start of 1980. I believe like January 1980. Silver jumped up, and it was $49 and change. Think about that, right? $49 and change in in the 70s or early 80s. You know, when we didn't barely have we never had $1 trillion. That's the crazy part. There was no such thing as $1 trillion in the 70s and 80s. You know, we barely were getting into the billions. Okay, so and 1,000 billion is a trillion. 1,000 trillion is a quadrillion. Okay, our national debt. You know, no one really knows numbers anymore, but they're at least admitting to 33 trillion in debt, which is, again, 1,000 billion is a trillion. So that's $33,000 billion.
Yeah.
There was no such thing like that in the 70s and 80s. Like, this is like ridiculous. But yet silver hit $49 in change, but never touched 50 in the 70s, 80s. It dropped down. So it's called a cup. So it went from there, it dropped down, came up, and then touched, again, $49 and maybe 50 cents in May of 2011. And then the banks went in and boom, they slammed it back down. So then it's making like a handle. So it went left of side of the cup to the right side of the cup. And now it made a handle like this down. It's called a cup and handle on a chart. And now it's working its way back to that $50 range here, but it never touched. It's never in history ever touched $50. Now, this is the exciting part. Okay. So if you think about silver itself, never touching, there it is. Yeah, large cup and handle going back to the 80s. There it is, January of 1980. And then again, 2011 in May. So you'll see those two peaks there. Now, so think about the money supply. Like, again, just think about this. 1980, the Hunt brothers take it up to $49 and change, and then they slam it down. And for years, till 2011, it finally gets back up. And now the money supply is maybe in the trillions, who knows, and now, man, they're clicking buttons to make trillions of dollars just to pay the interest on the debt. Mm-hmm. This is the insanity. The interest payments on the debt are in the trillions. This is craziness.
Yes.
But silver still never touched $50 a coin. What the heck?
The only thing that's gone down.
Talk about the biggest fire sale, the biggest opportunity in human history to own an asset that should be over $50 since the 70s. And look at how long it's been. And it's still never touched $50. So yes, long answer to your question, it's never touched 50, but this is the wild part and go from here. But again, we're looking for a year of Jubilee. Well, biblically, when is a year of Jubilee? It's in the 50th year. What a coincidence, $50 an ounce on silver. The prophecy is that when silver blows through $50, it begins the greatest bull market in human history, but also, this is the key, it begins the Jubilee year.
Yeah, that's so cool. Bo, I think you've shared this with us before. So, but it's so good. You were talking about the difference between millions, billions, and trillions. People, I used to think, okay, well, millions, I know where that is. That's 2 commas. And then billions is 3 commas and trillions is 4 commas. So, it's just the next layer, but it like magnifies on itself. If you put it in terms of time, 1,000,000 seconds is about 11 and a half days. Okay.
Right. So just counting. So in other words, it would take you, sorry to interrupt, but it would count you 11 and a half days to count to 1,000,000, not sleeping.
Yep. And then if you want to go out to 1 billion, so 11 and a half days. So for 1 billion, then you might think, oh, what do I do? Double that or triple it? No, at 1 billion, it goes to 31 years. So that it's a huge jump. And keep in mind, this is what we did with our money supply. So we went from 11 and a half days to 31 years. Then when you make the jump to trillion seconds, it is 31,709 years. So counting and not sleeping. When we went to trillions, it wasn't just the next layer up. We went. It's a whole new ball game, and it's just terrible. Anyway, so if someone out there's never heard that before, it's pretty incredible to really put it in perspective. And I think I first heard that from Bo. So very cool.
Yeah, and that you have to understand. All they do, the banks, they can create digits out of thin air. It's been we've stated this on this podcast numerous times. We played videos about people, actually the banks admitting they create money out of thin air. And you have to understand, right? If you never had $1 trillion in the 70s and 80s, well, how do you have $1 trillion now unless you created it?
Yep.
Unless you there's no way of having $1 trillion unless it was created. And how do they create it? Out of thin air. And the banks have admitted that money's created out of thin air, and the politicians have admitted it too. We've actually got it on clips. We've played it on these shows before, okay? So it's money creation out of thin air. And the point is that they create this money. They make you think you have to pay it back, but this is the bondage system, right? And so what I'm saying is that, over all these years that we've referenced, look at silver, it's never touched $50 because it's not only, this is the wild part, not only is it a bank destroyer. When they created the nuclear bomb, the atomic bomb, they could not have made it without silver. Silver, because of the way the isotopes and the way it works, it's the most incredible metal. That's why, in other words, just to make a cell phone, that's like this is like the tiny bit of what silver can do, like it'll help with cell phones and what do you call it? You put on the roofs of houses, solar panels. Oh, yeah. That's nothing. But we're using that for people. That's nothing. Understand, like behind the UFO, okay, that's called anti-gravity. It's going to come out that we've known about anti-gravity for decades, probably centuries, who knows, long time. They've hidden it from us, but in order to make the anti-gravity, you need silver. Like the technology, it's a strategic military metal. And when it comes out of what it can do, it's going to, many people have stated, but, the word for it truly, ultimately, it becomes the most desirable metal in human history on this world. And God actually prophesied already, I believe it was through Carolyn Dennis, that the prophecy is God is going to use silver and it will be the bank killer, the bank destroyer, because of what they did with it with Jesus. So they used silver to kill, they paid 30 coins of silver to Judas for Jesus. And ultimately he died on the cross. And then the resurrection was the greatest victory in history. But because of what the bankers paid him with, that same metal is going to come back and destroy them. That's the prophecy. That's
so cool. Well, our guest is Bo Polnny, and we are live right now. We're on YouTube, we're on Rumble, and we're on Twitter X. So give me a comment. Let me know where you're watching from. I can see we've got a lot of people on with us right now. So welcome. This is Monday afternoon. If you're with us live, and if you're watching this on a replay, that's cool too. We're glad to have you here. But if you're with us now, we'll take questions as we go. We're going to talk. We're already talking silver. We're going to talk more silver, where it's going next, what it looks like when it gets over 50. We're going to talk about what that does to gold. And then, Bo, we haven't even talked about it yet, but Bitcoin and crypto is almost at a breakout as well. So just crazy times. It's wild, but you've been talking about it for so long. And the last couple times you were on, we had a couple grumpy people in the comments saying, "Oh, silver's never going to do anything. Silver's going to go back below 32 again." Well, I hope those people are on right now, because it's currently sitting at $37. So, both, should I put your slides on? You got some great stuff for us today.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, the thing about silver itself is it's the last. I don't know how many times we've stated, but probably in every single podcast we've done in the past one or two, at least 2-3 years, the last metal, the last item to ever move is silver, because the bankers will fight to their death. They will fight to their death to not let silver break vertical. And we've basically shown that the key number, the critical number for price on a charting was $35 to 34, say $35. It was a huge resistance. And we've seen for 2 years, at least a year and a half to 2 years, they'd come up to 33, 34, they slam it down. Go up again, 32, 33, 34, boom, slam it down. And how many times have they hit it down ever since getting into the 34, possibly a couple times it touched 35, and it would always be taken down. And finally, this is the key, because when we texted last week, I said, no, if silver, and I knew it was going to, I had a huge likelihood it would, but if silver were to close, click on a weekly chart, so Friday closes the week. So if it was to close above 35 and even 36 on a Friday, that basically sets it in stone for the weekly chart, which means now that turns a chart extremely bullish, meaning to the upside. Yeah. And so that's why, like, we literally woke up and it's not but another 90 cents right now on a Monday, just warming the week up. And so if we take a little step further, we go back to that silver chart that we're looking at. I think it was on page 20 something or other. This is the interesting part, and we'll talk about AI in a second too, because we'll reveal a bunch about the AI. But so, okay, this is the US dollar chart. It ain't looking good. Go back to our last podcast. We did it maybe 2 weeks ago, I think it was. We were talking, Noah. But basically, if you look at that, the candlestick, since the tariffs were introduced in February of 2025, okay, you see the black bubble right there. This is the US dollar chart going back incredibly to December of 2014. Okay, wow. This is like 10 years plus. And so the chart had a double bottom and it moved back up starting in 2021. It went vertical. But here's the problem. This is the terrible looking chart for the dollar, because after being on support from 22, 23, 24 for 3 years straight, it had support at this 100 level. It broke through it in April. Like, again, see, this is not only in the weekly, on the monthly chart. On the monthly, it closed below 100. That's the red candlestick you're seeing there. And then the next candlestick was May. Again, it closed below 100. And now we're at June 9th, the third little red candlestick with the blue arrows pointing, June 9th. So now we're the third month below support, which now is confirmation. So the next thing, all that has to happen and is going to happen, we're going to see a plunge straight down on the US dollar. It literally could happen this week, this month of June, okay? It could plunge all the way down into the 89 category, that red line there down at 89. Jeez. Man, if that happens this week or in the month of June, which is, it's going to happen between now and summer, okay? That's coming. That's going to light the fire on silver and gold like you can't even imagine, okay? So silver, they've been holding, but now it's at 36, 37, and the dollar hasn't plunged. Let's just use very clearly the word yet. Mm-hmm. And the opposite of the dollar is silver and gold and Bitcoin, okay? So when the dollar plunges, all three of those are literally going to have, the fireworks. The match is lit, and it's going to hit the fuse is hit, and it's going to hit the explosive, and it's just going to go.
Yeah, but Bo, I've always heard that gold and silver are kind of like the canary in the coal mine. They kind of get a whiff of something before it happens, and I wonder if this spike over 35 is silver waking up and seeing exactly that red arrow you've got on that chart.
Well, I would say this. Let's look at the next chart, because this one is actually fascinating. The Lord revealed to me this chart, like, I think it was 10 days ago. I put it on the day I got it. I stuck it on X. It's on X. I think it's at least been 10 days, maybe 2 weeks there. This is wild. Okay. This chart is if anything, wild, because if you look at the top portion of it, it's called a head and shoulder chart pattern. But this chart basically, and then the bottom is it says silver, but actually it should say silver to gold ratio. But again, this is important because the silver is really what we're tracking right here. So going back to December of last year and January of this year, the chart basically showed what silver was doing, and it went down and it finally collapsed. And you and I have spoken about this like for the past month or so, since April, how the ratio went to like 100 to 1. So you could actually sell 1 ounce of gold, which is very rare, and get over 100 pieces of silver. That rarely happens. So what's happened is it created what's called a head and shoulders. Now, anybody, you don't need to be a chartist to understand this. Look at it and look at the top chart, look at the bottom chart, okay? And then it continues, then it drops down in the middle there. It's called a head. And then the bottom chart on silver drop down. And then the timing sequences. So there's like, I slashed a bunch of arrows going vertical. The timing sequences on this is fascinating because it's even happening in a similar timing sequence, if that makes sense. The same amount of time that the top chart had been progressing. So this is the wild part. The chart is saying that, so, and I drew a line there to make it kind of nice to look at, but there's a thicker yellow line. That thicker yellow line is actually when summer begins. So what it's saying is that, so the blue line, the blue arrow is pointing where we are right now.
You are here.
You are here. Yeah. You are here. But yet between now and the start of summer, so like the third week of June, it's supposed to shoot straight vertical to fulfill the pattern you're looking at. In other words, the pattern's been beautifully replicating, Ecclesiastes, that which has been up top will be again down low, down bottom. Okay. So the pattern, Ecclesiastes cycles are replaying themselves here. So it's fascinating because the cycle is saying, as wild as silver right now at $37. Oh, no. It's saying that the likely, if this chart plays out, this chart is indicating we could go to $50+. Silver could break through $50 before summer. So there's summer, June 21. So basically in the month of June, we could still see $50+ silver.
Yeah. And people said that would never happen. So watch out.
So the chart is fascinating. And anybody who is a chartist will look at this chart and go, wow. That's all you can say. You look at a chart and all you can say is, wow. If you're not a chartist, you can still look at a chart and go, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's so similar, right? That's all I got to say. And then below that, the only other thing I can say is go a slide 2, like the next two below that, there's a prophecy of Kim Clement that says basically joy in spring on slide 26. There it is right there. That's the prophecy. He said joy in spring, miracles like you've never, ever seen. Okay. So that's the start of it. And then the part of the prophecy was what was supposed to happen with the death of the Pope. Something biblical was supposed to happen. The spirit of Python, our last video we spoke of, talked about Python, the Pythos, which end up being what? Vatican II audience hall is a snake. Pythos will begin to be destroyed in America and begin to be destroyed in the world. Look to resurrection. On that exact day into the next morning, Pope is dead. What I'm saying is the prophecies that were spoken in 2013 are happening right in front of us right now.
Yeah, we've talked many times. We've kind of looked and said, is this the year that Kim Clement's famous seasons prophecy is going to come about? And there have been bits and pieces that have seemed to fit, but this year seems like it's just laying out perfectly. So that's amazing. So joy in spring.
Don't even go anywhere. To read the very top there. This is another prophecy. Now, is it relating to this year? Again, all of this is fascinating. The chart cycle on silver is fascinating. And then this line that God revealed through a prophet is lining up. It says spring, a time of new birth. A new birth, here it is, will be. A new birth, it will be. Okay, so All to forget a new birth, all you have to have is silver blow through $50 a coin.
Yeah, and so let me put your chart back up there. So this top line, I guess it's the neckline. They label it the neckline. That's getting back to 50, right? That's your $50 line.
That would be silver exploding in price relative to gold. So in other words, if gold goes up $50, silver would have to go up. So if gold went up, say 10%, silver would have to go up 40%. To get to that neckline. Does that make sense? So silver, whatever gold would do, silver wouldn't it could not match it. It would have to outperform it by a factor of 3 to 5. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and we were talking offline before we went live. I think historically the ratio of gold to silver something like 5 to 1 or 10 to 1, and you were telling me we're currently at 100 to 1.
Yeah, go to slide 33. 33 to answer your question.
There we go. There it is. Look at that. Good thinking, Bo. I'm glad you put that in there. I like it.
This is history. So you expand upon it as what you're seeing there. Like, expand about the length of time that this goes back to. This is crazy.
Yeah. Well, so I'm just reading this live with you. But so historically, I mean, for decades and centuries, millennia, really. The ratio has been anywhere from 1 to 3 to 1 to 10 range, 1 to 15. And then all of a sudden, 1792, we got one of the founding fathers there, 1 to 15. And then it just explodes to 1 to 105. So that is your money printing right there.
Yeah. So basically, it's what this chart is showing you, that you can look at any time window going back BC. So that's going back 5,000 years. So going back 5,000 years, the average is between 3 to 15. Okay, so somewhere, let's just throw the number one between, for every one coin, you would roughly get between 3 pieces of silver back. So for 1 ounce of gold, you get 3 ounces of silver on the extreme good side. To the lower side, so for every ounce of gold, you might get 15 pieces of silver. Okay, but what this is saying is that the ratio right now is 10 times that.
Yeah, that is.
So for the first time in human history of 6,000 years, we got a ratio of 100 to 1. Insane.
And so then the obvious next question then is, do we just stay at this forever, or does it come back into the historical norm? And if you believe it's going to come back into the historical norm, then silver's a pretty good thing to buy right now. Even better when Bo was telling you 5 years ago to buy it.
Well, because it was $17, $18, $20, and now it's 30. Now it's 36. But again, but you don't buy. Again, if you buy silver, or in a person you want to do it yourself. Neither Noah or I give financial advice. What we're saying is we personally own and buy silver. I don't care that the price is right now $36, or if I bought it at 17. It's irrelevant. Why? Because I know where it's going. It's going to restore the ratio. What this chart is showing you is that 6,000 years is going to prove the bankers dead wrong. And repeat, everything the banks and the manipulation has created in this world at some point will blow up in their face so bad that they will never recover from it. 6,000 years of history is telling us that they're messing with the price of silver so bad. And 6,000 years of history has also said that every single money instrument ever created by man in time, 50, 60, 70, 80, this is the longest one, 100 and something years, 112, 13 years. Okay. Every currency within 70 to 100 years blows up and goes to zero.
Yep.
The US dollar is no different. The US dollar, a Federal Reserve note, will blow up and will eventually go to zero. Now, the first haircut is going to be about a 30% haircut, like we showed you on that US dollar chart. But that move is going to cause silver to get unleashed vertically with gold. Okay, that's what's coming. And so the dollar's headed down. I don't care what anybody says. Dollar's headed down. When the dollar goes down, the opposite is gold, silver, cryptocurrencies. They're going to explode. Okay. They're doing everything they can to manipulate the price of silver forever. They're trying to hold down all the alternate coins. When I talk about cryptocurrencies, right? They cannot hold the price of Bitcoin down well. They're doing a really bad job of that. That's why it's over $100,000 because it's in the blockchain. They cannot create blockchain Bitcoin out of thin air. So all they can do is gangbang and, all the media gets together on a certain day and says Bitcoin's trapped, Bitcoin's dead. And they all, try to dump it in a single day. Then they're the ones buying it up. We talked about this on the last podcast where they go buy it up on the same day. Right. After a drop, but it's been in a bull market since 2010. Okay. But silver and gold has been manipulated forever. And the alternate coins, these smaller based coins, they have a very large ability to manipulate them because of what they're doing with these contracts right now. So we're very much seeing a huge price suppression on the alternate coins right now, but when this silver event blows, it's going to start blowing up the banks, and boy, if silver is going to go, and the altcoins, boy, are they going to go with silver. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to talk more about crypto in just a minute, but before I get off of silver here. I've asked you this before, but I just have a feeling that maybe when I've asked you before, people have thought it would never happen. It would never get to 50, never get above 50. And so I have a feeling people might be hearing this with different ears today. Now that we're sitting at 37, 40s, we got our sights on 40 and then 50 is blue skies. I know I've asked you a lot and you've answered it a lot, but what's possible once we break out over 50? Where are we going? Where could we be going?
Well, see, that's the thing, right? So the chart is, we've just created a head and shoulders you're looking at right there. This is a long-term chart, okay? So silver, this chart indicates that silver into the future, because that neckline is then going to break later this year. So it's going to explode up to the neckline. It'll be above $50, 67. We have a target we've spoken of on the silver chart around 60, 68 to $70.
Yeah, that's
our target. Okay. Through 50, that's the target. Then once that neckline is broken later this year, probably in the fall time, then the neckline breaks, and then silver, oh man, gold's going to be going up, and silver is just going to be narrowing that ratio like a crazy. It's just so every time gold jumps 5%, silver is going to jump 20%. It's just going to keep doing that, and so silver is going to keep narrowing the ratio. So it's going to go from 100 to 1, 90 to 1, 80 to 1, 70 to 1. 60, 50, and it's going to keep narrowing that gap, because this is going to be the greatest bull market in history. It's going to approach that 10 to 1 ratio easy in the future here in the next few years.
Well, and that, I'm just trying to get my head around this.
So you can do the math right. So get your head around. So let's say like gold easy, I don't even know what, but let's say gold at 10,000. So to answer your question, gold at 10,000 an ounce, and then you do a 10 to 1 ratio on that, right?
That's 100.
Well,
that's 1,000.
That would be 1,000.
Yeah.
That'd be 1,000 at $10,000 at 10 to 1. But when gold gets a 10 to 1, the ratio is not going to be 10 to 1. The ratio might only be like 40 to 1 or 50 to 1. So gold's going to be at $40,000, $50,000. Like, in other words, gold should be what Bitcoin is right now, 100,000 per coin.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and so it's the answer is all I can do is I can look at the Bible and give you numbers out of the Bible, and we're just going to use base would be what silver is based for the past many years, 10 years now. So we use $20 as a base. Okay, so the answer to your question is let's use a $20 base. And the Bible says when the thief is caught, okay, when silver explodes, the thief is caught. Mm-hmm. When the thief is caught, immediately damages are paid sevenfold. Mm-hmm. 7 times 20 is $140 an ounce.
140, that's right.
Okay, so that would be 3 digits on silver quickly. So this summer, probably. Because it'd be quickly, right? So I don't know, but that's all I know. But it's going to be quickly, and the chart that you're looking at right there confirms that type of an event. Because 40 is not going to be resistance. Like we were saying, 35 was resistance. Now that it's closed through 35 on a weekly, if 40 is not going to be resistance. 40 might be a stop for an afternoon. Because the only other resistance is $50. And when it takes out 50, 50 is going to become support. Sure. So it's going to go up through, say, $60 or $70. It'll come back down, bounce right around $50 for a couple days, maybe. And then it's going 3 digits.
Jeez.
Okay, so that's how the charts work. So when it takes out 50, it's a higher high. It's a confirmed bull market breakout. We've got to close above $35. So it's immediately going to go through 50. It's going to go through my targets again, $68 to $70. It might stop in that range because there's some resistance up there on a long-term chart. And then next thing you know, it'll probably come back down to that $50. That was resistance in January 1980. That was resistance in May of 2011. And now that resistance becomes support. So $50 becomes the floor. We've had a floor of $20. Now 50 becomes the floor.
Yeah.
It might bounce around there for a little bit. I mean, a little bit. And then after 50, it's going 3 digits very soon, and then 4 digits. And when I say 3 and 4 digits, it's because now we're talking when God intervenes upon the world, he takes down the bankers. You can't stop this from coming. And then very simply, when you read scriptures about blessings, because this is a biblical event that's happening, blessings, when God blesses his church, it's 30, 60, or 100. So 20 base, let's just use 20 base to be conservative. 20 base times 60 times 20 base times 30, the first level would be easily $600 silver. Okay. And then 3060 would be 20 times 60 would be $1,200. Now we're in 4 digits.
Wow. And
then 100 fold would be $2,000 per coin. And these numbers are absolutely impossible numbers. They're completely unrealistic numbers in a Babylonian-controlled money system. But when God intervenes, this is the year of Jubilee, when it takes out 50, the bankers are going to fall and run and flee, and everything that they're trying to do right now blows up in their face. So that's how this is going to play out. I don't care what anybody says. We've been right for 3, 4, 5 years now, Noah, about everything we've talked about, cryptocurrencies, gold and silver, particularly cryptocurrencies. Go back to our problem. We've been saying Bitcoin when we met, it was at $1,000 or a couple thousand, $3,000, whatever it was when we met.
Yeah.
And now it's at 100,000. What do we say? $100,000 Bitcoin's coming. Okay. So the next thing is, when the bankers lose control, because they're fighting like tooth and nail to keep Bitcoin in the $100,000 range. Okay. Understand, Bitcoin's going to $1 million a coin. Sounds crazy. Sure it does. But at that time, silver is going to be 2, 3, 5, 10,000, whatever it's going to be. Who knows? So let's just say when Bitcoin's $1 million an ounce, let's just say no brainer, silver's 4, maybe 5 digits.
Bo, we're going to save this interview. We need to mark down specifically this one because we flash back on old shows from 5 years ago and they're incredible to watch. I can see a time in the future when we're going to flash back and cut these clips in and we're going to say, we told you. We told you it was coming. Bo told you.
And it's not a matter of us telling you. We simply want, our job is to, honestly, we're already, I know Noah. That Noah's holding cryptocurrencies. I know Noah's controlling cryptocurrencies. I know Noah controls silver. Okay. Myself too. Okay. So we don't have to be doing these podcasts because we know what's coming. But our job, we want people to know the truth because the truth sets all of you listening, the truth sets you free. Free from what? A Babylonian controlled system. Don't you want to be free? And so if you're listening, this is about freeing you from a debt slave system. Yes, God's going to intervene. Yes, God's going to remove all the bondage. God's going to do incredible things. But at the same time, too, if you've prepared financially, you don't need to suffer if you got digits in your bank account, knowing that those things are going to blow up. But silver and gold is going to blow vertical. Cryptocurrencies are going to blow vertical. We're stepping into the greatest financial event in human history. This is a one-time event that will never happen again. What's coming? This has been written in the Bible for 2,000 years or thousands of years, because it says the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. God's church is to be the head, not the tail. Deuteronomy. See, these are scriptures that have never been fulfilled. All of these scriptures were written in the Bible thousands of years ago, and you are blessed to be listening to us, to the other prophets, people that are prophetically, speaking about a wealth transfer. Many prophets are out speaking about wealth transfer right now. We're just giving you the more details on it. We've got the charts and what's coming. God shows me timelines. So we have timelines. Noah has gotten the crypto reports on what we talk about. The timelines are freakishly accurate. They're not nothing's ever 100%, but I'm telling you, Noah's seen probably every other, people writing about cryptos and everything else about the report. And I know Noah can attest that there's nobody in the world in the past 4 years that we've been doing this that has been even close to the accuracy that we've put out there in the Bitcoin index that we write out. Tell me I'm wrong, Noah, because it freaks me out how accurate these reports are.
Yeah, well, you can do two things. One, you can check out those reports, or you can just watch our shows. I mean, Bo gives away so much for free on these shows, and you can see how accurate he's been on coming on these shows for 5 years every month, and it's been stunning. But yeah, and I'll put up here. Let me just scroll to it right now. Bo gives away everything for free, but if you want to, he does have one subscription service that I know a lot of you subscribe to and enjoy. And if you'd like to check that out, it's at gold2020forecast.com. And Bo always gives readers of WLT Report a discount. Anyone watching the show, a discount. WLT49, you put that code in when you're signing up, and it'll give you 50% off. And, Bo talks about, check out our track record. Well, I always tell people, go log in there, and all the old reports are in there. They're all by date organized. Not a single one's missing. So go click through them and take a look. It's kind of fun to historically look through and check that out. So definitely do that if you want to. And yeah, Bo,
write down the calling the crash, the FTX crash, to the exact day. Actually, a month in advance, we predicted the FTX. We didn't know what it was, but the reports were in there in November. We did it October, November of the year 2022, predicting the exact bottom to the exact day. Bitcoin dropped down to $15,000 per coin. Nailed it to the exact day. I don't need glory for it. I'm just saying that when you know the cycles, you just have such peace in your heart because you know what's coming. You just position yourself and wait. That's what the key is here. Position yourself and wait. The Lord actually revealed to me, on top of that, the cycle for Bitcoin and when it tops. Yes, it is going to be topping this year. Okay. I haven't even released it in the report. I've known of the date since last year. I keep referencing it, but I'm not going to give the exact time point just yet. But I've got the cycles as we're progressing into it. This is very important because when this is about to happen. But this is key. You do not want to be stuck holding the bag on this crash because this is a big crash that's going to come again. Just like we've seen cryptos, some of the alternate coins, they go big time high. But then the alternate coins come down, they lose 90% of their value. Bitcoin loses between 60 and 70% of its value off the top, okay? So you don't want to be stuck holding the bag on the drop that's coming in the future here and this year. So what an exciting time to be alive. But I know that, we did the podcast while I was in Switzerland a couple of years ago. And, we did you got the report. Watch Bitcoin drop on, I think it was November 8th or 9th through 19,000, and it's going to make a bottom exact. We give you the date in November of 2020. It did it exactly.
Yeah. No, it's so fun to look back and think about all this, and then look where we're at now. And I think I can safely say, Bo just said it. I'll say it one more time. Neither one of us can give you personalized financial advice because everyone's situation is different. Maybe crypto's not right for you. Maybe gold and silver aren't right for you. I don't think the dollar's right for anybody, but everyone's different. But in general, I this is a news site. I get news out, I get information out, and then I let you decide what you're going to do with it. And, my mission since 2015 is just to get as much clear information without bias, without censorship, get it out there to the people, let you hear it, let you make up your own minds. And I've been open with what I'm doing. I've been buying gold, silver, and crypto all the way along the way. And I just get so excited when I look at a day like today with, for most of the time, Bo's been coming on the show. Bitcoin's been definitely under 50,000. Silver, we've talked about, it's been around 20. And now as silver sits at 37 and Bitcoin's at 109,000, I think I can safely say that nobody who is listening to my voice right now that bought Bitcoin, gold, or silver at any point in the last 5 years has lost any money, because you're in the green at this point. So I love that. I think we're making lives better. We're helping people sleep better at night. And that's just great. And then, everyone, you still make up their own decisions as we go. And Bo, everything I'm hearing you say is this isn't the end. This is we're like on the launch pad. We're not coming back down from space. We're ready to go. So that's exciting.
Yeah, and very interesting too is the timing of this. And what I'm trying to say is, if you go to page 15, what you'll see is we had yesterday, the 8th of June was Pentecost, right? But Noah, what day did the Pope die? Resurrection Sunday was April 20th, and the Pope died on the 21st. Now, yeah. Penta means 50. So yes, even though we celebrated Pentecost yesterday, to be honest with you, 50 days isn't until tomorrow.
Okay.
Today into tomorrow. Say tomorrow. Now, why I'm making again, I'm just trying to put pieces together here. But if you click over to page 28, I find this fascinating because today is June 9th. 50 years ago to the exact day, Nixon signed the petrodollar contract with the Saudis today.
Oh, wow. Okay.
74. The 50th year ends today. The 50 year started on June 9th, 2024, last year. The 50th year ends today. A year ago today, if you go to the next page, the Saudis refused to sign the petrodollar contract.
Yeah,
there's 4 articles.
Yes,
this is not make-believe. The Saudis refused to sign a petrodollar contract. Go ahead, you want to say something else?
No, we covered that live last year with you. I remember that.
Yeah, they refused to sign a petrodollar contract. And then if you go to page 32, which is a couple more down, the Saudis were on the fence about joining the BRICS on page 32. But let me tell you, after Trump visited Saudis on May 14th, May 15th, there is zero chance ever, like not ever, but zero chance right now, this year, next year, whatever, and any time in the near future, anywhere, that the Saudis are going to decide to join the BRICS now, because they gave Trump such a royal treatment with right down the purple carpet, the Saudi prince meeting him at the tarmac. There is zero possibility that the Saudis are going to join with a crazy globalist, George Soros and his buddies. Absolutely no way, considering the respect that the Saudis gave Trump. This is very important to understand. Very important to understand. Okay. So the plan is, to attack the dollar and bring down the US dollar. That's called Operation Sandman, 2 slides up. Yeah. So again, is Operation Sandman going to happen in June here? I got no idea, but there is something to this, okay? Because this is a prophet. It says her plagues will come on a single day. The kings of the earth will weep and wail over her. That will be the fall of the US dollar. Revelation 18, 8 through 11. Telling you, whether this is going to play out this way exactly, I don't know, but I find this time point fascinating that we're speaking today on the 9th of June. We're watching silver trading at almost $37 an ounce. Operation, you got the Saudis and the petrodollar contract blowing up 50 years ago, ending right now today. So all of the timing here couldn't be more incredible. And then you've got that chart I showed you on the gold silver ratio saying silver is about to just go nuts to the upside.
I mean, it's everything is converging right now. If
Yes.
you can't see it, I don't know what to say.
That's what I want to say. Converging is a beautiful word you use, Noah.
Yeah, crazy. Well, Bo, I've got a few minutes left, but I would really love to hear. I saw some of your slides, and if you have time, some of this AI stuff in here.
So what we wanted, so they are planning. Okay, so the aliens are coming in the future. You know, if you go to the top, my book's got aliens in it. It's the L, right behind me, right there. You got the L, rather L-ations. So all of this ties in with the Great Deception. They're planning to build an embassy for the aliens. Have you seen this one?
No.
Yeah, so they're planning on building an embassy for the aliens. I think we'll play it next time. Or I have not uploaded it yet, so I don't have the ability to play it right now. Or maybe, I don't know, see if I can. But they're planning on building an embassy for the aliens. This is craziness.
Wow.
And, why would they need to be building an embassy for the aliens if you think about it, right? It makes zero sense unless they're planning something. And this ties in directly with AI. Actually, I'm going to try to share the screen right here if I can do a screen.
Where are they building? Where are they building that? Antarctica?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think they already got one.
Oh, I know. This is crazy that the stuff that we're actually seeing happen right in front of us. Well, this is just insane. Here,
I'll tell you what. About 7 or 8 years ago, I would every once in a while talk about how they're going to play this alien card, and people said, "You're nuts. That's insane. You finally lost it." And they don't say that anymore. It's like, okay, well, yeah, it might be. And I don't think they're aliens. We've talked about that before, but
let me. I've got a full screen. I can't see this, but let me know when you got me on full screen. I'll hit the play button.
I can do it right now. Hang on, I see it.
Tell me when.
How about stop that, play that, and you might have to mute yourself.
I will. Let me know when.
I think you're live. Go ahead.
As for today, more and more scientists, politicians, astronauts as well as the Pentagon, the U.S. Navy, and national intelligence acknowledge the existence of UFOs and extraterrestrials. UFO sightings are increasing. What if all these manifestations are intended to prepare humanity for a peaceful and official contact with extraterrestrial civilizations? Would it then be beneficial for humanity to access their advanced science? And if so, how should we engage with them? The answer is, to build an embassy for extraterrestrials to officially and peacefully meet with them. We are ready. A significant part of the funds to build such an embassy are already raised and available. Our organization is ready to begin construction. It remains only to find the host country, in which we will build the embassy, and the selection process has already begun. The selected country will become the spiritual and scientific center of the planet for millennia to come. This new extraterrestrial embassy, located within a futuristic, scientific, and tourism-oriented complex, will be a testament to the evolution of our civilization. The host country, the new capital of Earth, will be the destination for visitors of all ages seeking to be healed, advised, or instructed. It will be an incredible drawing card, with the potential to attract millions of visitors per year, and billions of dollars in income. After a first extraterrestrial contact, the tourism value will be incalculable. Timeline. Important note, the following phases summarize the project's main steps, and the approximate time frame for each. 2024 to 2025, site location analysis. Identify suitable sites for the ET Embassy project. 2025 to 2027, site acquisition. 2027 to 2030, planning and implementation. Master planning, architectural, engineering design, approvals, contracts, and commissioning will be completed. The ET Embassy complex will be constructed, including a model of the embassy, that will be open to the public. After 2030, the embassy will operate in caretaker mode, awaiting the arrival of an extraterrestrial delegation. After 2030, the embassy will operate in caretaker mode, awaiting the arrival of an extraterrestrial delegation.
Jeez, that's insane.
Come on, this is crazy. So
Wow.
they're preparing, and it'll be set up. And this ties in, I know, Agenda 2030, right? So after 2030, they're waiting for the ETs to show up.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. It's coming, and people have laughed about it for a long time, but it's coming.
So now this ties us in with, you know, some understanding of how this is going to play out. Okay, so we need to understand, because they're gonna be using AI. Remember, it says scripturally that, you know, it's all about, they're going to deceive, even that the elect will be deceived. Okay, so the AI is going to be directly involved with deceiving humanity, but you need to understand the levels of AI. This is critical, because people are now saying, "Oh, AI is bad," blah blah. You know, okay, it's like when the U.S. dollar was created. It wasn't bad. It was when Nixon took us off the gold standard and they created money out of thin air to infinity. The Catholic Church wasn't bad until Vatican II, when man comes in, and next thing you know, they built Auditorium Hall, and, you know, the devil gets into the Catholic Church. Okay, so every man
don't
creates.
get me in trouble, Bo. I don't.
No,
I
but
don't
what I'm
need
saying is
trouble with the Catholics.
Well, no, because we love.
I'm teasing you.
You know, again, back to Catholic. We love Catholics. The people are beautiful people. Okay, the people of the world are beautiful people, but the sin is not.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, the sin, God, Jesus, God the Father, Jesus, the Trinity, Jesus, God, they love you. They love everybody. But if you are going to try to tell someone that you're supposed to love their sin, no, you're not supposed to love their sin. Okay, you're supposed to love them, but not their sin, and that's critical to understand. So again, back to AI. What man creates, like I referenced a couple examples earlier, is fine. It's when Satan gets in the middle of it and corrupts it. Are you with me? Mm-hmm. So Satan corrupts everything man creates. And so the three levels of AI is very important. It's ANI, AGI, and ASI. ANI, I've done the homework on this, so make it easy for everybody, but ANI is basically what we're using right now. Siri, Alexa. It references an AI's, it excels at specific tasks, like voice assistance or image recognition. Okay, this is not smarter than humans. Okay. Mm-hmm. Next level is AGI.
Siri definitely isn't.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why this is levels of, right? And so AGI is AI capable of performing tasks a human can. So in other words, it's human level intelligence. Now we're getting scary. And the next one is ASI, is a hypothetical AI. You know, it doesn't mean it means it's going to happen. They're just using the word hypothetical, okay? That surpasses human intelligence in all aspects, far beyond human capabilities, okay? So now we're talking a big problem, because when you read scripture, specifically it says, you know, if for in those days had not been shortened, no one would survive them. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be shortened. At that time, if anyone says to you, look over here, the Messiah is over here, the Messiah is over there, do not believe them, for false messiahs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so Hebrews, see to it, brothers and sisters, that none of you turn away from God, the living God. Do not harden your hearts as did in the rebellion. Basically, for those led by those Moses led out of Egypt. Most of them in the 40 days of the wilderness, they were building with the money they got. They were building calves out of gold. Okay, so they went back to idol worship. You know, this was the great rebellion. So understand, what's coming is going to be biblical, but deception is going to be directly tied in with it. Now, this is where it gets interesting, okay? Because now this is to further answer your question about AI. So Ilya, Sutska, so I can't pronounce the name. He was the one credited with building OpenAI. He deployed ChatGPT.
Yep.
Now, he did not like, and then Sam Altman comes in the picture. Ilya did not like the direction Sam Altman was taking OpenAI, and he was on the board that kicked out Sam Altman from OpenAI.
Mm-hmm.
7 days later, Sam Altman's back.
Yep. I remember
and
that.
Ilya leaves.
Yep.
He's like, I'm out of here. Then you got Elon Musk, and this is the article right here. This is all factual. And you got Elon Musk stating on the record in an interview, I heard it. He goes, there is a dangerous element of AI, and I think Ilya discovered something.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think so.
In other words, the original creator of OpenAI, Ilya, does not trust the current CEO, Sam Altman, in his dark intentions for AI. This takes us to the next. I'll go to slide 7, 2 down, and this ties in with Saudi Arabia, which we'll talk about in a second. But this ties. It's right there. What you've got is AI, so AGI, and what he was saying. I'm sorry, I forgot the reference. I want to go back to page 5. Ilya basically stated, when AGI happens, expect a rapture. In other words, he's freaked out because of what it can do to humanity.
Yep.
So this ties in with prophecy. This is the crazy part. So you go back to page 7, what you're seeing is AGI, what the Lord revealed to me, it's also what their title is artificial general intelligence. It's actually anti-God intelligence, because they're going to be now using AI to say that, their aliens will be on the scene at the time. They are the gods. So AI is going to be basically saying that the aliens seeded humanity. They're the gods of the world, and they're going to answer all the questions through aliens. And AI is going to be directly tied in with aliens coming upon the earth. And it's interesting that, if you run a 7-year cycle from 2025, what year do you get, Noah?
2032.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
So very interesting how all the time, because remember, Kim Clement said, you've been deceived by haters of America for 7 years. You've been deceived by haters of America for 7 years. I will take you out of your besiegement for 7 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what I'm saying is all of this is tied into prophecy. And then back to, when Trump was in Saudi Arabia, Elon went with him and he struck a deal. So on page 6 with Saudis.
Yeah, he did.
For what? For Starlink.
Mm-hmm.
And Brandon Biggs specifically got a word from God that Starlink will be directly involved with a mark of the beast system to track people around the world.
Mm-hmm. Well, and
Very important.
He also said something recently. He had some vision of, I think it was the new AI flag or something was going to be red, green, white, and black, and that's what you've got right here.
Yeah, exactly. So so that's very true, because the 4 horsemen represent the 4 colors of the flags of the Middle East. Look at this. All the flags of the Middle East. There's no blue. There's no pink. There's no brown.
Yeah.
There's no yellow. All the flags of the Middle East are the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Boy, that's weird.
Okay, and then go back to this, the crazy one on slide 6. Okay, Saudi Arabia. Guess what they got on their flag?
Oh, the sword.
The sword.
Yeah.
Now, why is that important? Well, it's actually rather critical with regard to what it means, because if you understand biblical prophecy, or more importantly, go back to page 7 and read the very top on page 7 about Sharia law.
Yeah, I think I've seen that sword in the Denver airport before. All right, page 7, Sharia law. All right, Sharia law plays a significant role in Middle Eastern legal systems, of course, also known as the Islamic law. It is a religion drawn from the Quran and the Hadith. Historical applications of Sharia law have included decapitation as one method of capital punishment, while Christianity emphasizes addressing sin through grace and redemption through Jesus. Yeah, that all seems accurate.
So Sharia law. I did all the homework on it. Historical applications of Sharia law have included decapitation. Let's go to page 9, Noah.
You got the Stargate there. That's interesting. All right, page 9.
Okay, so now read. So if we want to read here, I'll read this. The beast out of the earth, Revelation. This is in Revelation 13, 11 through 18. Then I saw a second beast come out of the earth. It had 2 horns and like a lamb, and it spoke like a dragon. It exercised all the authority of the first beast. Babylon, which we're watching right now, and made the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, Babylon, whose mortal wound had been healed. So in other words, Babylon falls, but then it resurrects. It's healed. So that's why those that are out there saying, hey, we're stepping into 1,000-year millennial reign. Oh, people, you got no clue. Read yours. Because the Bible is very clear. All of these things have to happen before Christ returns. Okay. Well, we haven't seen Babylon fall, and we haven't seen the beast system, right? And this beast is horrible what's about to happen, right? So, and it performs great signs and even causes fire to come down from heaven to earth in full view of the people. Because of the signs it was given power to perform on behalf of the first beast. It deceived the inhabitants of earth. So the second beast is now deceiving the inhabitants of the earth. AI. In order for them to set up an image in honor of the first beast, who was wounded by the sword, Jesus Christ, the word of God, and yet lived. So in other words, the first beast comes back to life. The second beast was given power to give breath to the image of the first beast, so that the image could speak and cause all who refused, here it is, who refused to worship the image to be killed. Sharia law, decapitation. Brandon even said they will cut your head off. Okay, if you don't take the mark.
He had a big long vision about that. We posted it. I'll find that and post it down below this video. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slaves, to receive the mark on their right hand or on their forehead, so that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark. And what is the number of the mark? It's the number of the beast, is the number of man. It's 666. So again, 666 isn't bad. It's both the number of man and it's the number of beast. God's basically making a point of the number 6 is tied in with this. But what I'm trying to say is the importance of that word, refuse to take the mark, will be killed. That's why, these sadly, that's what God's going to wake up so many of the people, because there's so many people out there that are into this, the tarot card reading, all this stuff that's out there, right? And understand that you're not stopping prophecy, okay? So if you don't know Jesus, you're going to be forced to take the mark. Critical. You're not stopping prophecy. You're not stopping the future. You can't stop what God ordained. All of this is written. So so the point I'm trying to make is God's going to make so this is not a doom and gloom podcast. This is a podcast of my glory shall fill the earth. God's going to come and make a window of divine favor. It's going to be the greatest time point in human history. We're this close from it. It all starts with silver blowing through $50 an ounce. Okay. But yeah, the great falling away is what's going to happen with the great falling away. You just looked at right there on slide 10. This is literally the people are going to, because of what's about to be exposed, that the churches are going to be exposed, the falling away from religion. All of this is going to be basically the great falling away, and people are going to fall away from religion, but the point of falling away from religion, but they find Jesus Christ. That steps us in the great revival. And then all of what we've been talking about, like you're saying, the book of Enoch, it's all in there, but they never canonized the book of Enoch because why? It explained the fallen angels, the Antichrist system. It basically explained the fallen angels, the fallen ones, who basically are going to be tied in directly with the aliens.
Well, Bo, this is so crazy. I'm on this slide here with the watchers on YouTube video here. Last night, I opened up the YouTube app on my TV just to kind of find something to throw on. And this popped right up and I started watching it, and it's incredible. But I can't believe you have this in the slides after I just started watching it last night.
Wow, I watched it about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, and it's fantastic. At that time, there was like 2 million something views on. I'm sure it's 3 plus now. But the people that made this, again, why is this awesome? Because they used AI. They used the first level of AI. So they used ANI to make this video. Basically, the video's 4K, super high definition. The animals and the beasts and the graphics are mind-blowingly awesome. So watch it because it's fantastic. Just look at find this image, put the name in on YouTube. It's an incredible video with super high definition, beautiful images. You're not watching some 1970s. No, you're watching full-on 4K AI, beautifully describing the Book of Enoch. Wow.
Yeah, and it's just so funny. I'm just kind of in shock here because I loaded up the app last night on the YouTube app on my TV, and I logged in just in guest mode because I didn't want to go through all the hassle of logging into my account. And so it's not as if it was like going based on my browsing history, and it gave me this video as the top recommended. So I'm just so blown away to see it in your slides here. That's way cool.
and the watchers go back to page 2, and then we'll go back, we'll wrap it up. But page 2 basically describes this. Okay, this is in Ephesians 6 verse 12 in the Geneva Bible. It says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, and against worldly governors." Means people in high positions, 3-letter agencies. And here it is, the princes of darkness, the fallen ones, the fallen angels. Now go back. Now that you know this, it's in the Bible, okay? But they did not put the Book of Enoch in there because it explained it too clearly. The princes of darkness are the fallen ones, the fallen angels. And these are going to be this will be the great deception, which they're going to call extraterrestrials. There it is right there, aliens. It's not. They're demons from the pits of hell. These are the fallen ones that were thrown out of heaven.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've been talking about this stuff for 10 years, and it's all coming into the mainstream.
And now they're building. You've been talking about this for 10 years. I appreciate that. And now they're building an embassy for it, so they're not even lying anymore.
Yeah, that is wild, man. All right, well, Bo, amazing stuff. You got my head spinning on this one. So much in here. If anybody wants to grab these slides, I'll make sure that the link gets put down below the video, or I'm going to up here on slide 1. You can scan this QR code. That'll take you right to...
Actually, don't use that QR code. That's going to take you to another set of slides. I forgot to update the QR code. Just include the actual link below the video, because that slide that will take you to the ones. They'll take you to some great slides, but not this actual slide deck, because this one's new. I just put this together past weekend.
All right, cutting edge. Everyone's getting this breaking. Bo, I had a question pop up. I'll throw your slide back on here. If you want to get Bo's Bitcoin newsletter and targets for where things are going, his time cycle analysis, go to gold2020forecast.com and make sure you type in the code WLT49. Going to save you 50% off of signing up right there. But I have a question came in. I can't flash it up on the screen because it's on Rumble and that doesn't integrate. But Margie over there asks, will Bo be addressing XRP as well? Expectations and when to sell. So there you go, Bo. What do you say about that?
Well, XRP is going to move with Bitcoin and the alternate coins. Okay, so they're all going to go together. Man, you just watch. You've seen alternate coins. Everything's been going sideways. Okay, the only coin that's been progressing upwards has been Bitcoin, but everything else, for the most part, the alternate coins went up a little bit, but they're tracking it sideways. They're holding everything down. They're manipulating everything to not let, because they know a lot of people have the alternate coins and they're not letting the alternate coins go. And if they had their way, they'll never let XRP go. They'll never let the alternate coins go. But again, it's not about what they want. It's what God's going to do, because God has the final say and God's the creator. These people are nothing but, they work for, I love this saying by God, they all work for the forever loser. Okay. Not only is Satan a loser, he's the forever loser. He'll never, ever, ever beat God, because God knows what he's always thinking, what he's planning. So he's the forever loser. So the forever loser is trying to work with his minions to keep the price of silver and cryptocurrencies low, especially the alternate coins. But when God intervenes, XRP is going to blow vertical. I do have in my charts, I think I've got one of the pages I've had for a while. I track XRP pretty closely, but it's going to, when it breaks out through $3, we have some specific targets that it's going to hit, I believe, here very quickly when it hits those numbers. When it breaks out, it's going to go really fast to some very specific numbers. But again, this is important, because when these numbers are hit, it's gonna crash big. Okay, it's gonna come down big because they're gonna do everything. Remember, silver, as high as silver goes, they're gonna bring it back down to that floor of 50. So XRP is gonna come back down sharp, even worse, because why? They're gonna try to grab control again, but they're finished. They're finished. But again, you don't want to be stuck holding the bag when this thing goes. So when it blows vertical, you want to, there's some price points. Yes, I can't reveal everything, but we do expect it to take out $3, and we've been waiting this for a long time, but it will take out $3. When it goes, it's going to go big. And then then I personally will be writing about it in the report. I personally will be exiting my positions. And then I will be buying back again. It's like buying back on the cheap, but I will be doing this. And every time I do anything, I always write, hey, this is what I did or I'm about to do. And I usually write what I'm going to do several days in advance so people can always be prepared for it. And as you know, I've always done that now.
There you go, Margie. That is, I do know that because I get the newsletter and love it. So yes, Margie XRP is in there. Bo has many times written about different price targets that he sees in the charts. And then, like he said, he will give you what he's doing. And then everyone has to make their own decision. It might not be right for you to sell at that time, but you can follow Bo and see what he's saying about it in the newsletter. That's gold2020forecast.com. Get 50% off with WLT49. XRP is in there. Bitcoin is obviously in there, but so are a bunch of others, of course, Ethereum and a lot of the ones you see on the screen there, and some other ones too. Some that are very, very cheap, under a penny, are in there. So there's a lot in there other than Bitcoin. And I always say this because I know there's someone new listening. You don't have to buy one Bitcoin at a time. With stocks, you have to buy a whole stock. You can buy a fraction of a Bitcoin. You can buy a fraction of an XRP. You can buy all sorts of things. So if you look at, say, well, I can't buy $110,000 Bitcoin, you don't have to. You can. I set my thing up a long time ago. I said I want to buy, whatever it was, $50 a week of Bitcoin every single week, and I just set it up and I forgot about it and didn't look at it until recently, and I just let it go, and it's been awesome. You just keep chipping away. So among other things. Of course, XRP is my favorite, Margie. So welcome to the XRP family. Glad to have you here. And then I'll put this real quick, and then we got to run. But the other thing that Bo does as a service to everybody, if you are interested in this, is his Easy Crypto School. I always get so many people asking about this and then telling me how much it helped them. So if you're brand new to crypto and you want to kind of learn the ins and outs, learn how to do it safe, learn how to not fall victim to scams or scammers or just doing something wrong, you can go to easycryptoschool.com and again, type in WLT49 in the code box. You'll get 50% off, and you can go in there, and Bo created it just like an online school. You can go at whatever pace you want and learn how to do all this stuff the right way and the safe way. So those are the two things. Bo, let me turn this off for a second. Thank you so much for coming on. This was just the perfect timing to do this. It's just wild watching silver and gold and crypto. I think we're in for a very fun remainder of spring. I can't wait to see what comes next. As always, I'll give you the final word. Thanks for being here. What do you leave us with?
Noah and I did a podcast in November of the year 2022, and we said, watch Bitcoin. The report had it in October. Bitcoin was expected to crash on the 8th, 9th through 19,000, collapse down to about 14, 15. It went down to 15,000. It bottomed. We said November 2020 marks the bottom for years forward. November 2022 marked the bottom for Bitcoin for years forward. You go look at all my reports that we've been writing. Every one of them say that going back to that time point, including the day. Okay. That bottom will be marked with a historic, exciting top this year, 2025.
Ooh. There we go. All right. So if you want to get that,
it's exciting.
All right, go grab Bo's report if you want it, or just hang out here on the interview. Bo, you always give away so much value here. I really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for your time on the show. Thanks for your time and putting together these slides. So on behalf of everybody watching, we've had hundreds, if not thousands, of people join us today. Thanks for being here.
Amen.
All right. Bye, everybody. See you on the next one.